You were not sent here merely to drift. The years you have been given are not a meaningless accident. Life, like the universe itself, is architecture, deliberate, precise, infinitely creative. And you, though you may not yet believe it, are the master builder. But here lies the truth too few dare to face. Most people surrender their tools before they have even begun. They imagine that fate is a force outside themselves, a lottery in which some are born fortunate and others doomed. They live like tenants in a house they never designed, walking its dim corridors without ever asking, "Who built this?" Orison Swett Marden, writing in the late 19th century, saw through this illusion. In his book Architects of Fate, he gave us a blueprint for living not as a passive recipient of life's events, but as a conscious creator of them. His words, over a century old, are not dusty relics. They are living steel, able to shape the destiny of anyone who dares to use them. Tonight, in this journey, we will breathe new life into Marden's vision. We will not simply repeat his chapters. We will walk the great halls of his wisdom, rearranging the stones so they rise into a structure you can live inside today, a structure strong enough to withstand the storms of the modern world, yet elegant enough to inspire your soul. And as we walk, remember this: architecture is not only about walls and roofs, it is about intention, harmony, and the art of bringing the invisible into form. The same is true of your life. Let us begin. The blueprint of destiny. You are building whether you realize it or not. Every choice you make is a brick, every thought a beam, every habit a foundation stone. And the structure you are building is nothing less than your future. Most imagine destiny as a mysterious decree, written in the skies or etched in divine scrolls before birth. But Marden saw destiny as something crafted, not assigned. The child in the crowded tenement, the young worker in a dim factory, the farmer's son in a dusty field, each holds the tools of creation in their hands. The raw material may differ, but the laws of building are the same. Think of the world's great figures: Lincoln rising from a log cabin, Booker T. Washington from slavery to the leadership of mines, Florence Nightingale born into comfort yet choosing the hardship of service. These lives did not happen to them. They were constructed. Marden's central principle is simple, but its simplicity hides its power. Character is the chief architect of fate. Not luck. Not inherited wealth. Not even genius. Talent may open the door to opportunity, but character builds the house you will live in once you cross the threshold. Without character, integrity, persistence, self-mastery, even the finest opportunities collapse like paper walls in the rain. In the modern world, the temptation to believe otherwise is everywhere. We see overnight fame, viral success, sudden fortune. But ask yourself, how many of those quick-built towers still stand 10 years later? How many collapse because the foundation was never laid? The blueprint of destiny begins not with ambition alone, but with vision anchored in principle. Marden would tell you, and I tell you now, that you cannot drift into greatness. Drift builds nothing. Drift is the slow erosion of your raw material, the quiet collapse of potential. You must design. Design begins with an image in the mind, not a vague wish but a clear, structural plan for the kind of human being you will become. It is not enough to want wealth. What matters is the kind of mind and character capable of creating and sustaining wealth. It is not enough to wish for influence. You must become the kind of person whose influence is worthy of being felt. And here is the paradox. You may not yet see the full height or breadth of what you are capable of building. But you can begin with the foundation. Small acts of discipline, decisions to speak truth instead of convenience, a refusal to cut corners in the unseen places of your work. These are invisible bricks, but they will bear the weight of everything to come. The blueprint of destiny is not sketched in comfort. It is drawn in the face of difficulty. Marden knew this. He spoke of the power of starting where you are, with what you have, without complaint. Too often we delay building because the conditions are not ideal. But an architect does not wait for perfect weather before laying the first stone. The inner tools of the master builder. The foundation is laid. But a foundation alone is not a home. To build upward you need tools, not the tools of steel and stone but of mind and spirit. Marden, with his keen understanding of human nature, knew that the world does not reward the dreamer who only sketches plans in the sand. The vision must be translated into structure, and for that, certain inner tools are essential. Without them, the grandest design remains a fantasy, and the architect becomes nothing more than a wishful spectator of other people's successes. Tool 1. Discipline, the chisel that shapes the stone. Discipline is the tool that gives form to your raw potential. Without it, your abilities remain formless blocks, heavy with possibility but useless. Think of Michelangelo standing before a massive slab of marble. To the untrained, it is only a stone, cold and inert. But in the disciplined mind, the statue already exists. Every strike of the chisel is guided by vision, but it is discipline that controls the hand, day after day, hour after hour. The same is true of life. Your vision of the person you want to become is the statue. Your habits are the chisel. Every morning you rise on time, every temptation you resist, every piece of work you complete with excellence. Each is a strike that shapes your destiny. Without discipline, even the gifted collapse into mediocrity. With it, even the ordinary can rise to greatness. Tool 2. Perseverance, the hammer that refuses to break. The chisel is delicate, the hammer is unyielding. Perseverance is the hammer. It does not care how long the work will take. It does not stop when the stone resists. Marden believed that one of the greatest tragedies of human potential is the ease with which people surrender. We stop at the first obstacle or the second or the third, never realizing that the obstacle is often the final test before the breakthrough. History is crowded with the names of those who persisted. Thomas Edison, who endured thousands of failed experiments before finding the right filament. Helen Keller, who learned to read, write, and speak in total darkness and silence. Explorers who sailed into the unknown on nothing but courage and the wind. Perseverance is not blind stubbornness. It is intelligent persistence, the refusal to be turned aside by difficulty, combined with the willingness to adjust your methods while keeping your eyes fixed on the goal. Tool 3. Time mastery, the architect's calendar. If discipline and perseverance are the physical tools, time mastery is the architect's schedule, the unseen framework without which nothing rises. Marden's era was free of the digital noise we face today, yet he still saw wasted time as one of the greatest thieves of destiny. He warned that the hours you kill are, in truth, the hours that kill your future. To master time is not to fill every moment with frantic activity. It is to make deliberate use of the hours for the things that matter most to your design. It is to distinguish between what is urgent and what is important, and to give the lion's share of your energy to the important. In the architecture of fate, time is both the raw material and the limiting factor. You cannot create more of it. You can only shape it well, or squander it forever. Tool 4. Focus, the compass that keeps you true. An architect may have many tools, but without a compass, the building will wander from its intended design. Focus is that compass. In our modern age, focus is under siege. We live in a world engineered to fragment attention, to scatter the mind across 1,000 trivialities. But greatness, in art, in science, in character, is always the result of sustained focus on a single worthy aim. Marden saw focus not only as the ability to hold attention on a task, but as the courage to say no to distractions that masquerade as opportunities. Every yes to something meaningless is a no to something vital. When you protect your focus, you protect your design from distortion. You build according to your blueprint, not according to the shifting whims of the crowd. Tool 5. Belief, the invisible mortar. And then there is belief, the most subtle yet most binding of all tools. Belief is the mortar that holds every stone in place. Without belief, discipline crumbles into routine, perseverance becomes drudgery, and focus loses its fire. Marden's belief was not in luck or chance, but in the power of the human soul to rise. He believed that every individual, regardless of birth or circumstance, carries within them the seeds of greatness. But belief must be nourished. It must be guarded against the erosion of doubt, the acid of cynicism. This is not a belief that life will hand you what you want. It is the belief that you can become the kind of person who can create what you want, and that the process of becoming is the real reward. When you combine these tools, discipline, perseverance, time mastery, focus, and belief, you possess the equipment to turn any vision into reality. Without them, even the most beautiful design remains a dream. With them, even the humblest beginnings can rise into something magnificent. Marden knew this truth and he lived it. His own life, marked by orphanhood, hardship, and the struggle for education, was a proof that the inner tools matter more than the outer conditions. And so, we move forward in our journey, for even with the finest tools, the work will face storms. The true test of an architect is not in calm weather, but in the trial by fire. The trials in the forge. No structure rises without pressure. No steel is strong until it has faced the fire. An architect may design with beauty and precision, and the tools may be sharp and ready, but the true proof of a creation's strength is not in its drawing stage. It is in the storm, the quake, the flood. And so it is with the life you are building. Marden understood this with the clarity of one who had endured it. His own path was not a smooth upward line, but a jagged ascent through hardship. Yet he did not regard adversity as an intruder in life's design. He saw it as an essential element, the furnace in which the raw material of character is transformed into unshakable strength. The fire that tempers steel. Imagine two blades of metal. One is soft, easily bent, the other sharp and enduring. The difference is not in the ore from which they came, it is in the process they endured. The sharp blade was heated until it glowed, hammered into form, cooled, and reheated again. Adversity is life's forge. Without it, you may remain untested, but you also remain unproven. With it, you gain the tensile strength to withstand pressures that would shatter a weaker frame. Many long for a life free of struggle, but such a life produces only fragile architecture. The mansion built in still air may look beautiful, but when the first wind rises, it collapses. The house built to endure the storm may not glitter as brightly, but it will still stand when the storm has passed. Obstacles as silent teachers. Marden believed that obstacles were not merely to be overcome, but to be studied. Every challenge carries a lesson, a refinement of skill, a deepening of patience, a strengthening of resolve. Consider the artist whose work is rejected repeatedly. Each no teaches adaptation, a shift in technique, a deepening of emotional truth, a strengthening of the will to continue. Consider the entrepreneur whose first venture fails. The loss is painful, but within it lies the exact map of what must change before the next attempt. Obstacles are not walls meant to turn you away, they are gates that open only to those who know the password: persistence. The illusion of ease. The modern world sells an illusion that the highest achievements can be had quickly, without sacrifice, without weathering the seasons of doubt. It is an intoxicating lie. Marden warned that ease breeds weakness. The very muscles of character, courage, patience, endurance, are formed only under resistance. To wish for a life without challenge is to wish for a life without growth. If you look closely, you will see that those who have achieved lasting success are not those who avoided difficulty, but those who used difficulty as a lever. They did not run from the storm, they learned to steer their vessel within it. Moral courage in the furnace. It is one thing to endure hardship when the whole world cheers your cause, it is another to stand alone, holding to your principles when the crowd demands compromise. Marden placed high value on moral courage, the quiet, unshakable resolve to do what is right, even when it costs dearly. This form of courage is forged only in the furnace of trial. Think of Socrates choosing death over the betrayal of truth. Think of leaders who refused to bow to corruption, though the refusal cost them power, comfort, even safety. In such moments, the architect of fate builds not just a personal future, but a legacy that will inspire others long after the walls of their own life have fallen. The alchemy of adversity. In the forge there is transformation. The heat that could destroy the unprepared instead strengthens the one who knows how to use it. Adversity, approached with the right spirit, becomes alchemy, turning setbacks into wisdom, pain into compassion, and loss into a deeper kind of wealth. Marden did not romanticize suffering for its own sake. He did not suggest that we should seek out hardship as a badge of honor. But he knew that when hardship arrives, it is a gift in disguise. It strips away the superficial, clarifies what matters, and reveals the strength you did not know you had. When you have passed through the forge, something in you changes forever. You no longer fear the storm, for you have seen what you can endure. You no longer doubt your tools, for they have proven themselves under pressure. And most importantly, you no longer see life's trials as cruel accidents, you see them as part of the architecture itself. The structure of your fate is not weakened by hardship, it is completed by it. Living as the architect of your fate. You have seen the design. You have gathered the tools. You have passed through the forge. Now comes the true work, the daily act of building. The greatest structures in history were not completed in a rush of inspiration. They rose slowly, stone by stone, in the quiet rhythm of daily labor. The architect's genius was not in a single burst of creativity, but in the patient, unwavering commitment to see the vision through to completion. Your life is no different. The alignment of vision and action. Marden would remind us that knowing what to do and doing it are two different worlds. Many live in the limbo between intention and execution, forever waiting for the right moment to act. The right moment is now. Every day is a fresh chance to bring vision and action into alignment. To live as the architect of your fate, you must ensure that your daily choices are consistent with your blueprint. If your design calls for integrity, then honesty must be practiced in the smallest dealings, even when no one is watching. If your vision is of a mind filled with wisdom, then learning must be woven into your days, not left to rare occasions. If your plan is for physical vitality, then the care of your body must be as deliberate as the care of your work. The misalignment between dream and action is where most lives collapse. The architect draws one thing but builds another. Do not let that be your fate. The legacy mindset. To live as an architect is to think not just of the present, but of the generations who will walk the halls you build. Marden saw life as more than personal gain. He saw it as the creation of value that outlives the builder. Whether your work is art, business, invention, service, or the raising of children, its true measure is in its endurance and influence. Ask yourself, when I am gone, will my work speak? Will it uplift, inspire, or improve the lives of those who encounter it? This is the legacy mindset, to build with the long view in mind. It transforms your actions. You no longer seek the quick, fragile victories of ego. You seek the enduring structures of contribution. The daily practice of greatness. Greatness is not an event. It is a practice. You cannot wait for inspiration to strike, for the stars to align, for the perfect opportunity to appear. The architect of fate works with what is at hand today. Marden believed in the day-tight compartment. The idea of focusing all your energy on the work of this day, without being paralyzed by the regrets of yesterday or the fears of tomorrow. The daily practice of greatness may not look glamorous. It is often repetitive, quiet, unseen. It is the author writing page after page before a book takes shape, the musician practicing scales until the sound becomes second nature, the leader making small, just decisions that, over time, shape a culture of trust. Do not despise the small bricks. They are the structure. Guarding the architecture. Even the strongest building must be maintained. Neglect invites decay. In life, this means guarding your character, your health, your relationships, and your clarity of purpose. The forces that can weaken your architecture, distraction, temptation, complacency, are subtle. They creep in through small cracks left unattended. Marden warned against the slow erosion of standards. It is rarely one catastrophic failure that topples a life. It is the slow drift from principle, the compromise repeated until it becomes habit. Guard the structure. Repair the cracks early. Protect your design from influences that would distort it. Courage to expand the design. To live as an architect is not only to maintain but to expand, to envision new wings, new heights, new possibilities. Many stop building once they achieve a measure of comfort or success. But the master architect knows that the work is never truly finished. There are always new skills to learn, deeper wisdom to gain, higher contributions to make. Marden's own life was an example of continual expansion. Even in his later years he kept writing, teaching, and shaping ideas for the generations to come. He never considered his work complete because life itself was still unfolding. The joy of creation. Perhaps the most profound lesson in living as the architect of your fate is this: the work itself is the joy. If you live only for the moment when the building is done, you will miss the beauty of the process. The laying of each stone, the solving of each problem, the adaptation to each change in conditions. This is the art of life. Marden's philosophy was never about a grim march toward duty. It was about the exhilaration of creating something worthy. When you live with this spirit, the challenges energize you, the setbacks teach you, and the victories, small and large, fill you with gratitude. When you live in this way, with vision, with the right tools, with the strength forged in adversity, and with the discipline of daily building, you step fully into your role as the architect of your own fate. And as you do, you will find that your life itself becomes a kind of cathedral, a place where others can walk, feel inspired, and see what is possible when a human being refuses to surrender their tools to chance. You are not a spectator here. The blueprint is in your hands. The tools are within your reach. The furnace has already shaped more of you than you realize. The only question that remains is this: will you build? Do not wait for a perfect moment. It will never come. Lay the first brick today, in thought, in word, in deed. And tomorrow lay another. And the next day another still. Years from now, when you stand in the life you have built, a structure of integrity, purpose, and beauty, you will know that nothing in it came by accident. You will see that you have done what few dare to do. You have taken the raw material of circumstance, shaped it with vision, strengthened it with trial, and raised it into a life that will stand. You will be, in the truest sense, an architect of fate. And the world will be better for it.